Hello, my name is Fraser Simons. This is my channel, Springboard's Thought. Today I'm going to do another Friday reads, weekly roundup, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to start with Here by Richard McGuire. I wish I had taken pictures of this. It's a graphic novel. Hopefully I'll be able to drop some stuff in here so people kind of understand what I'm talking about. I was turned on to this from Shelley Swearingen, who I think does a pretty comprehensive review, and I'm sure has lots of pictures. I think she does like a top-down flip-through thing, so maybe I'll link that below actually, and that would be best. But I love this. It was 5 stars, easily 5 stars. It is the embodiment, I think, of what graphic novels can do. It's like something only that format could have done. And throughout time and history and even the future, you get a snapshot of a specific room, although at some points in history it's not a room, and in the future it might be something else. But anyway, a specific location in time, and it weaves together certain stories, different trends, I guess, into what is occurring. It is quintessentially like historical in a way, because it is encapsulating that and trying to communicate things about the human condition, as well as like how we perceive time, how we can delineate it, what we are able to tell from even the simple observation of something, as well as like something undergoing such a narrow scope, telling such a wide story. It's absolutely phenomenal. I definitely recommend it. If my library has it, the Small Town Library, I'm sure yours has it too. It's very quick because each double page spread is basically just this one space, so it can't take long to read. Next, I read on Audible, on the Plus catalog. It had this for free. Hopefully it still does. All Our Relations, Finding the Path Forward by Tanya Talaga. And she is the narrator as well as the author of this. She has done Seven Fallen Feathers, as well as I think was on a podcast about something related to Seven Fallen Feathers, which is 7 kids who went missing and or were killed in, where is it? Thunder Bay, Ontario. And so this is tangentially, I guess, related to that. It's about how to move forward, her perceptions of the problems at a governmental macro perspective, interacting with Indigenous communities, how those things differ, and having actual like real hypotheses and solutions to those things. I thought it was extremely well thought out. Lots of new information, despite these things being somewhat circuitous. She encapsulates a lot of what the perception, I guess, on indigeneity is in contemporary times in Canada, and how most people perceive those issues, because they're reframed by propaganda and the government as being different issues than they are, basically, and how those things came to be about, despite it being very succinct. I think it was like 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. It's very short, and it's an Audible production, I believe. Absolutely, again, fantastic, 5 stars. Definitely recommend it. Next, I read Brokeback Mountain by Proulx. I read this with Shelley Swearingen. It was a Shorty November thing, I think. And this was great. I gave it 4 stars. I had seen the movie already, so I knew what was going on. It's about 2 ranchers, cowboys in, I think, quite a while ago, like the 70s or 60s or maybe even 50s, something like that, who steal time away from their lives in order to be together. Although when a schism in their lives happens, and they're not able to spend the time that they want, the division, I guess, between them as well as the destruction, I guess, wrought in both of their lives because of their inability to be together, is really and truly well felt in both of them. And so it's very clever at showing how people who are forced not to be together from very arbitrary and antiquated laws, and the toxicity and phobias that come with that, how they harm absolutely everybody in the community, the other people's families. Everybody in the story basically is harmed by it in some way or another, and that's what's so clever about it. It's also very short. I think it's like 50 or 60 pages. It was another audiobook that was great and was like, you know, an hour or something like that. Maybe not even an hour. Next, I read Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow. I'm not going to go into this too much because it's the finale of a trilogy of children's books. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was fine. I think all of them I gave 3 stars. Like, it does what it sets out to do. It's got an interesting-ish magic system. The characters are fine. The obstacles are good. You know, it's like well-meaning, well-intentioned, well-executed, but it didn't, you know, exceed any expectations that I had. And I'm an adult reading a children's series, so I don't think I'd be like the one to pull on this in particular anyway. But it was a nice sort of cushion in between all else. I need sort of like fluffy candy sort of reads sometimes, and that series definitely fit the bill. Next, I read the most horrible techno thriller book I've read. Well, maybe one of the worst books I've read of all time. Endgame by David Baldacci, which is the 5th book, the finale in the Will Roby series, which is about an assassin, a government contracted assassin who is like trained by, you know, the militaries, a billion-dollar weapon, yada yada. This series has been very uneven, but this is an all-time low. It doesn't even feel like it's like loosely connected to the other ones in some ways, in that there's a reoccurring love interest type character, but it has got nothing about it works properly. The prose work is bad. The twists and turns are ludicrously stupid. Even the like will they won't they that has been mildly simmering throughout the books is ham-fistedly, terribly gone through. They have been through like wars, they've like convalesced together. They have like a pretty decent relationship, and yet the trope that he brings in is they cannot communicate properly to one another. There's like a miscommunication thing that happens, and they're all like, you know, I'm a broken person because I'm an assassin and all this stuff. Like the exact same problems that they've had throughout the entire series are completely rehashed, but then brought up again and again and again, and the outcomes from those obstacles are, again, ludicrously terrible. The the bad guys in this one hit their boss, who is purported to be like the ultimate super intelligent boss man of like the FBI guy. Like he's like Dark Man. He's like puppeteering everybody, but he's kidnapped by like white nationalists and has no agency. Basically is just a hostage that they have to go and like find to see if he's dead or not. It's about it. It's truly terrible. It's really bad. Yeah, like I was hate reading it by the end. I own the entire series, and that book makes me want to just get rid of them all. Even as hard as I am on commercial fiction, this is truly bad. Like it's like Plan 9 from outer space, the book, except, you know, an assassin guy. And to end on a happier note, though, I read 3 Parts Dead, Craft Sequence #1 by Max Gladstone. I gave this 4 stars. This was really interesting. and also strange. It's about a, how do you even explain this? So in this book, a lawyer, essentially, in a city in which gods are real, and it's kind of like American gods where belief fuels them, literally, and aspects of those gods, in, again, very literal ways, make this city function. So it's almost like Planescape, but a little bit happier, with a lot of gods, but yeah, interdimensional spaces, but kind of like grungy urban fantasy New York thing. Anyway, she has brought a case because a god was murdered and she needs to do investigation on this, but it's actually more of like, goes into like contract law and all this other law aspects of the city. And it's more of like, it's not a legal thriller, it's like it straddles the line of like a political drama mixed with a little bit of action, I guess, through the lens of a strange choice of a character, basically. The world building is very unique, as you can guess, probably. The setting is probably the most standout thing. The plotting was not that great. It had pacing issues, but it was so unique that I still gave it 4 stars, just because I wanted to keep reading, even though the plot, by the time there was the big reveals, it was still a little bit satisfying, but it's also a little bit still confusing as to how everything fits together in the end, even though it's enthralling. So that's what I think about that one. All of the books in the series, I think are like standalone. You can read them at any point. So I have, I think, 2 more of these, I think, in order. So I'll give it another go for sure. And hopefully each book builds out more of the setting as it goes. But I'm definitely intrigued. I'm interested. So I'm glad that I have those 2 other books to get back to at some point. And that's the week in reading. I hope you're having a good winter. That's what's happening here. It's snowed. None of the snow has melted at all. Even more feet of snow. I don't even know how many times I've shoveled, but it's probably good for me anyway. And yeah, hope you're well. See you next time.